The best advice I ever got was reverse advice, which was someone who said I wouldn't succeed, right? And that's not, it was the best for me, I should say. And that was my boyfriend slash business partner who left me to marry my secretary after I was in business with him and living with him for 7 years. And he told me on the way out the door, because I left finally when I had the courage and started my own business all over again. And he said I'd never succeed without him. Let me tell you, the best advice, an insult. I think I used that insult to build the rest of my career on the back of that insult. And it fueled me when I couldn't find fuel in other places. So be careful, women are vindictive. I got even, I got successful. In the first 5 years of building my business, I was hyper-focused, like laser focused, because all I wanted to be was the queen of New York real estate. Had in my mind on day 1, had it on day 2, I had on day 14, and it never left my mind. I was hyper-focused on who I wanted to be, which was the queen of New York real estate. All the work was about getting there, but that's the zone I was in, definitely. On day 1, in my head, I saw myself as the queen of real estate. I saw people coming up and kissing my ring like the Pope, like, yes, yes. I saw people asking, oh, Barbara, please tell us. I saw the clothing I was going to wear, which was vastly different than the clothing I had on, the shoes I was going to buy. So for me, it was a roadmap. It was crystal clear in full color. And when did I see that fruition? Inch by inch. As I was able to, like someone would ask me a question, oh, someone's asked me a question, or someone would not kiss my ring, but say, oh, that was amazing what you said. Oh, really? I went right back to that picture. It was coming true, little by little by little. And then that's when I sold my business as well, 30 years later, when one day I realized I was the queen of real estate. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll sell. What else am I going to work on? Boom. The end of the story. I think the number one thing that got me to where I am today is just simple hard work, okay? I've always worked my buns off, well beyond anybody I know in my peer group, okay? But if you work twice as hard as something, you're generally going to get twice as far, if not 3 times farther. So overwork is definitely the number one thing. And then if I could pick a second one as to what got me to where I am, I would say over-preparation. I over-prepare for everything I do, born out of insecurity of maybe not being able to deliver. And what an advantage that is in any situation when you walk in and you've well over-prepared over the next competitor. You'll usually leave the situation with the gold. I had so many jobs, none of them important, but I have to say my still favorite job, and if all the chips were down, I had to make a living to eat, I would definitely go back to waitressing. I have to tell you, waitressing is a great way to learn about business. In a real way, you're in business for yourself. You have your tables, your counter, whatever you're in charge of. You're paid on a commission basis in the form of tips, give great service, charm people, remember their name, get their coffee there first, you get more money. How fair. That's the way business is. That's the way real life is. And your day flies by. I don't think I ever had a waitressing day where I didn't thoroughly enjoy it. I'd be shocked. Oh, it's 10 o'clock already. My God, I could go home. So by far, other than sales, waitressing was my best job. But I think that's because it's really another form of sales. I probably could have used a heck of a lot of money advice starting out, and I didn't have any. And I wasn't worried about saving money or using it wisely. If I had an instinctive gut idea on something, I ran out with it as fast as I could. And so I wasted a lot of money, but what I got for that were a lot of successful ideas. Because it's like research in progress. Try this, try that, try that. And what it implies is that you have an open mind and you're optimistic that things are going to work out. And a funny thing about an open mind on money, things usually work out because you're headed that. Your whole spirit is about, come on, I can do this, I can do this. And it kind of works out. I think money's meant to be spent, which I know doesn't sound like prudent advice. But if you are not afraid to spend money when it involves betting on yourself, that's the key thing, not the next guy, betting on yourself. Chances are pretty good that money's going to make you more money. I think the most underestimated quality in all entrepreneurs that I don't underestimate at all, because it's the main quality, is their ability to get over an obstacle and keep on going. You know, when you're building a business, you have your good days, but you have a lot more bad days than good days where the chips are down and you're not sure how you're going to make it to the finish line. But you have to really be able to take anything that hits you in the head or flies in your face or becomes an obstacle before it's a big obstacle and think quickly on your feet on how to solve it. I think that takes a certain quality in the personality that doesn't get bothered by that stuff. And so when they get hit and they get hit and they get hit, they have that ability to keep popping up, and it's almost like an attitude of hit me again. I'm stupid, hit me again. But that exact thing is common to anyone who builds a great business, because they wouldn't have gotten there if they can't get over obstacles and bounce right back up. So that bouncing up is the number one quality in my book, and that has never changed. If you have a great idea for a business, the first thing you should do is get it out there. What people tend to do instead is analyze it to death and get everything in order, get the business plan down, get their ducks in order, how they're going to finance it. I think there's a time where you have to give that a little thought, but the problem with giving it a little thought, it leads to more thought. And when you give it more thought, you always find something else that you're missing. And as a result, you don't get it out there. I think there's a tendency to feel as though you have to have everything in perfect order, be a perfectionist. And the problem with that is by not getting out there, you don't even have a chance to revamp your product, your sales pitch, your pricing. The only way you can test it is to get it out there in the market. So I think if you have even a prototype of, say, a product or a new service with basic pitch points to it, you ought to walk out in the street, hit a couple of strangers and see if they'll pay you for it. That's the beginning of a business, not on paper or safely at your desk in your office. Whenever anyone's pitching me a business idea, I'm looking for the same old stuff. I'm looking for someone, number one, that hits me over the head with high energy, because I've never seen anybody build a business without high energy. So that's like a basic, like breathing. I also am looking for someone that I can trust. And it's a weird thing about trust. You don't really know how you get there, but you know when it's not there. So if I have anything in my body that says I don't really trust this guy or gal, I just don't go any farther with it, because I don't think it's going to end in a good place, okay? And lastly, I'm looking for somebody who's pretty street smart. And it's hard to see if somebody's street smart when they're standing in front of you pitching. But you could see how they think. And I'm really looking for someone who thinks fast on their feet, can answer questions quickly. I believe what they say. It feels like practical answers versus theoretical answers. And then I guess that also circles around back to trusting them. I'm sure anyone investing in any business has things that bother them, but for me, it's a stupid little thing, which is called fancy talk. When people are talking about burn rate as though it's a great thing, I'm thinking about burning my money. That's not a good thing. When they're using a lot of fancy terms I've learned in business school, I'm totally turned off. Because I generally find people who are talking like that really don't know how to do. They can talk, but they can't do. And I made that assumption every time. And when I did, I was correct. I didn't lose my money. But when someone can communicate clear as a bell and say it like it is, then I usually always make money on those deals. So that's been my big red flag. The best part about Shark Tank is honestly, once the show is over, when we start to work with the entrepreneurs. Because if you ask anyone who's built a business, they'll tell you the first dozen years of building your business, if not even the first 5 years, are the most fun part of the whole thing. Because you're at risk, you're dreaming about where you want to go, you're young, you have energy, you're going to pour it into your business. And that was my best time in my business, as it is for most people. But I get to do that again and again and again, like a happy Groundhog Day with each of these entrepreneurs. So I get to get the best part of the show with each and every one of them. And that's a thrill. Much more exciting than sitting on the set, for sure, which is mostly analyzing and performing. But then the real deal starts, which is working with the entrepreneurs and actually getting to help them build their business. My most fun investment, it would be Cousins Maine Lobster, because they're so good looking, so energized. They flirt with me and they make me a ton of money. What else could a girl hope for? Okay. If you're asking me my most successful, money-wise, it's definitely Grace and Lace, because they had a simple knit sock that they showed on Shark Tank over the cuff of Melissa, who was married to Rick, double partners, on the set. And I fell in love with how beautiful it looked on her leg. And now they have a full line of delicious women's clothing, Grace and Lace, that you can buy online. And they make a ton of money, and the most charitable people in the world. They've built 8 orphanages in India with all of their profits. Amazing human beings. So I make money, they make money, the orphanages get built. I mean, it's much more than I ever signed up for, and I'm so thankful for that. As sharks on the set, we have to act like sharks. And I would say half the time we're acting like sharks. And why do we have to act? Because we really like each other. We've worked on that show for 9 years together. And so we're like buds. Okay, we know each other, we drink together. So it's hard for us to kill each other. But we have a producer who constantly reminds us that we're not supposed to like each other. And so we get into that headset and we do it for a while, and then we start colluding and liking each other again. And then he tells us to back off, stop liking each other. It's all the people on that show are talented in different ways. We're all learning from each other on every single set. We learn something new. I never knew that. So what's more exciting than being in school every day with really bright minds and having the cameras on and getting to practice on these young entrepreneurs? I mean, it's a great combination. I think what's next for me is I'm the oldest shark on the set, and so I'm planning on dying in my seat and then helping the ratings even more. I just re-up for another 3 years. The same 3 years I swore I wouldn't. But Shark Tank, you have to realize, leads to so many other things. The notoriety is a platform that we all use to go wherever we want to go. So everything else I do in my life is a result of the strong platform and notoriety of Shark Tank. And so it's a hard one to give up.